Just click on that.
Go fuck yourself, RazörFist.
No, you go fuck yourself.
No, you go fuck yourself.
No, fuck you.
Fuck you.
Fuck you.
Fuck you.
Fuck you.
I missed you so much.
Eighth Eye, I get mad at you, but I can't stay mad at you.
I can't quit your RazörFist.
I'm gonna need a fucking poncho, aren't I?
You should have brought a raincoat.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to RazörFist Arcade.
Skip ad. That guy's still on the ad.
A very, very special RazörFist Arcade, where we are going to debate the wall, respectfully and hopefully with a generous peppering of the word fuck.
Oh, with lots of fucks.
And we are going to play a game called... TERRAN GEL is going to play a game called Mr. President.
I'm helping.
Misuta Presidento. Which is a game where you will play a Secret Service agent taking bullets for Donald Trump. Or for I can't believe it's not Donald Trump.
Did that guy say unskippable AIDS? Oh no, unskippable ads.
So Godspeed, everyone. Thank you for joining us.
God fucking speed.
Oh, you already failed.
Rump dead? Your rump is dead. Hank Hill voice, please. Says the Y2A problem.
I'll tell you what. All right, so starting out, let's hit your main points. What did to start out your video? How did you begin your video?
Well,
like, what was your first point of contention?
Well, my first point of contention was that Democrats and Republicans are pretty much the same shit these days.
Well, okay, you're not going to hear any argument from me on that subject. And
just so you folks know, I voted for Trump too because he was the lesser of two evils.
Yeah, we're not arguing with a dyed-in-the-dung lib here.
Yeah. Unfortunately, so anybody who is hoping to see like the SJW, oh, but what about the Mexicans and the children? That's not my position. My position is an entirely this is a fucking waste of time, and there's better ways to deal with this.
So what would be your main bone of contention with the wall? Would it be like the inordinate cost? Would it be
the inordinate cost is a huge one. I mean, some estimates put it upwards of $25 billion, and to me, that's a ridiculous, tax burden.
I've seen that figure.
It's the one from The Economist,
and I've seen 80 billion, and I'm not even sure if The Economist generated it, because I looked this up and I was looking for who came up with the original estimate, because it didn't come from Trump and it didn't come from the actual government. So I think the first time I saw it mentioned was CNN. And if there's an organization that has been more beshitted over the course of this election...
that's why I went with The Economist. The Economist is a much, less likely to foof the numbers.
Are you just diving into boxes now? Is this... Anyways.
He wants to save our president! Why does he keep saying rump? Did they just not put a T anywhere?
Nope. So anyway... here's why I have an issue with that and why I don't... First and foremost, I want to dispel the notion. I don't think it's 25 billion, and I don't think it's the 80 billion that other people have been saying.
Okay, so
sounds
would
ridiculous.
it be more than 25? Where do you think
I think it's less. I actually think it's going to be considerably less, and here's what I base it on. I looked up... I was trying to think, okay, what's comparable? What could you think of that would be similar to the wall... in terms of, a public works project that spans several states, and I was thinking, well, the only thing that's nearly equivalent would be the interstate highway system.
Yeah.
You have a highway that spans the entire country, not just 3.5 states, which the wall would have. And when you think about it, okay, the wall is an expansive...
I-10 runs from freaking Miami all the way to Los Angeles.
Bingo! Yeah, exactly what I'm thinking. So it's okay, if you think of the wall, yeah, it's thicker, obviously.
Well, it's thicker and taller. We gotta... and it's made of different shit.
We don't know, we don't know how tall it's gonna be, but let's say for the sake of argument, it's 20 feet tall. Okay.
It'd probably have to be taller than that.
Probably, but we're just thinking, like...
Yeah, right, we're just spitballing.
Yeah, 2030, it doesn't really matter.
Because
but
we're not talking about a fucking fence here. We're not putting, you know, like freaking metal fence all along, you know, the 2,500 miles of fucking desert, mountain, and random towns in between.
So if you think about it, a highway is just a wall flat on the ground. Only it's made of gravel instead of concrete, and those are roughly equivalent in price anyways. So...
Are they?
You're basically laying it on the ground,
and
it's spanning 3.5 states instead of the entire country. Now, the entire expense, adjusted for inflation, of the interstate highway system was $500 billion. Do you think, $80 billion for a wall? I don't buy, because it's like...
this is for how many states? Okay, so $500 billion going from, let's see, Florida, Alabama, Mississippi... Texas, Louisiana, okay, good 10 states we were going to say, right? Something like that?
What, for the highway?
For I-10, just I-10.
Well, it doesn't, all I'm saying
I'm going for like, what's the biggest highway we got? I-10's got to be one of the bigger ones.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't know that offhand. I do know that...
So if we could get the cost of that, of just one highway as opposed to the whole transport,
or even one that just stretches across 3.5 states, because that's all we really need to figure. Because part of Texas has a coastline, so that doesn't need to be entirely. You're just talking about California and Arizona and New Mexico and a chunk of Texas. So I just don't see how if the entire interstate highway system, which spans the entire country, all 50 states...
Real quick, they're saying that the game is louder than us.
Oh, crap.
So,
hold on.
Yeah, mute the game. Yeah.
We're just gonna do this, then. Sorry about that, guys.
Yeah, lower the game volume a bit. Yeah, sorry to interrupt you. I was just reading the comments.
No.
Everybody's saying it, so
that's like... perfectly fine. We're just gonna turn this way the hell down.
He's like, turn it up!
Okay, folks.
Well, what, turn us up or turn the game up? Which one do you want to hear?
No. So anyway, I'm just saying, like, okay, if the whole interstate highway system costs $500 billion, I'm not seeing how a wall that only spans 3.5 states is going to cost...
He said billion, not million.
Billion. Yeah, I don't see how just a wall that's just an expansive concrete is going to be roughly a fifth of that.
They also have to... A wall is made up of more shit than a...
And I imagine that, but that still doesn't jive mathematically. 80 billion are roughly
well, that's why I was going with the 25 billion sounded about right to me. 25 billion sounds just about right. It's still going to be in the B's for billion.
What are you doing now? What is this?
Land on rump.
Oh my God, there's wrestling.
There is wrestling.
And
you failed to land on rump.
Is that an elbow drop?
Is Trump in a fucking...
But no, so I'm not sure the cost is right, and I would caution too liberals, which I don't think you're necessarily just a hard...
I'm more on the libertarian side, folks. I'm huge into personal and civil liberties and economically free market type guy.
It feels to me like, because I think one of the reasons Trump succeeded was because people kept underestimating him, or predicting that there would be some dire consequence of him winning some little landmark. Oh, if he wins this state, then X will happen. Yeah. And then basically what you're doing is creating this criteria whereby all Trump has to do is not shit his pants, and he exceeds everyone's expectations and proves everyone wrong, and then he gets to mock him on Twitter about it.
He was also a populist running at a time when everybody wants fucking change. That's the reason Hillary did so shittily.
And I can agree on that, but what I'm saying is, to bring it back to the cost of the wall, overestimating 80 billion, 100 billion. I've seen people say $1 trillion before.
Well, that's why I put it.
Kidding me?
That's why I put it at 25 billion.
Yeah.
And I think The Economist isn't really, gonna foof that number much.
Yeah.
Let's say on the cheap it's 20 billion. It's still fucking a huge tax burden. I mean, it's still billions we're talking about here, folks.
It still feels to me like they're setting him up where all he has to do is not shit his pants. All he has to do is bring it in ahead of schedule and under budget, like he did with his presidential campaign. He's done that habitually, and he gets to mock everyone.
Wait, if you under budget the wall, then it's going to be a shitty wall too. Is that what you want?
I don't see that happening, but yeah. That would be kind of funny. But you know he's going to put that solid gold T on the front. You know that's happening. I was going to say,
like, you'll change my mind on the wall if he puts solid gold fucking bars and stars on it.
The giant Trump logo on the front.
This discussion would be so 2010 if it wasn't about the Trump wall.
Well, again, there's the cost is a huge issue for me, because it seems an unnecessary, measure for something that I believe isn't really going to solve any problem.
But think about it. We paid $500 bill for a highway system, which was just about, hey, our cars can drive around more
but it's
more effectively. This is
would
about
you rather
actual
not have highways?
This is about actual national security. This is about actual,
Well, is it
there's more at stake than just some convenience of driving your car around.
Okay, well, is it really about national security though? I mean, how? It's really just your main issue is just the.
Let me put this. Okay,
it's just the cartels, right? I mean,
it is about national security, and I'll give you an example why. In 2003, I remember one of the earliest viral videos I ever saw was this group out of Tucson that were like immigration activist kind of people, and they just decided to conduct an experiment to see how secure the border was. So they conducted this experiment where they basically created a fake suitcase nuke. Like basically the dimensions that they know a suitcase nuke is. Okay. So they put it in a suitcase.
It was a fake nuke.
A fake nuke. And they basically started out in Tijuana and traveled across the border into Tucson, and their goal was, let's see how far we can get without being stopped, or because their goal is the capital of Tucson, the Capitol building of Tucson. Okay. So they go there, and the closest shave they had was a drone flew overhead one time. And that was as close as it got.
The guys
Otherwise,
were never caught.
They were never stopped. They were never frisked. They never encountered a border patrol agent. Nothing. And this was 2003. This is right after 9/11.
Right.
So I do think it's a national security issue. I don't think Al Qaeda's are coming in every other fucking day. I'm not saying that.
And certainly not through the Mexican desert.
Yeah, but you certainly don't want to leave that open.
Well, I guess so.
Two of the 9/11 hijackers were trained in Arizona. I know, trained how to fly in Arizona at a flight school here. So I mean, it's not like it's unconnected, and we have a giant nuclear plant out here.
But there isn't an actual recorded historical crime, terrorist kind of crime that came out of there that isn't cartel related, right?
Fair enough, but it is the link to...
And the real problem is the cartels. Let's just get down to the nitty-gritty of it.
No, you have a point, but at the same time, the border... We do know that various terrorist organizations... I know, for example, there have been several stories about ISIS attempting or being apprehended at the border with Mexico, because they've seen it as a... If Al-Qaeda and ISIS are seeing our Mexican border as a security loophole, then we probably need to tighten it up a little bit. I'm not saying that's the biggest concern.
Right.
I really don't...
But you're saying it's a possibility that we shouldn't...
Yeah, it's at least a possibility, and so it is at least a security loophole that we should be plugging up. I think it's worth doing that.
Okay, there's also the logistics of not only hiring and manning the wall. I mean, we already have a history of underfunding our border patrol. Underfunding it to the point where, again, a guy can go all the way to Tucson from Tijuana without being seen.
Oh, you're absolutely correct.
So you'd have to really ramp up the border patrol as it is. And now that you're going to have, outposts every God knows how many miles. 2,500 miles, you're going to have, an outpost every, 100 miles or so?
Yeah, well, keep this in perspective. In 2014, Barack Obama tried to marshal Congress. This was right after the midterms, so it wasn't happening. He was expecting a bit of a Democrat blowout, and it didn't happen. So his big goal was he wanted to just cut back Border Patrol hours. He wasn't able to do that, or he was actually trying to remove Border Patrol agents. But... So he wound up just signing an executive order to cut their hours, and he cut Border Patrol hours in half in 2014, I think. So you have to remember, we're like well below maintenance levels right now. And his rationalization for this is this false data, which
you think we're going to be able to man a wall?
Absolutely, because Trump, part of building the wall is that he wants to increase the number of Border Patrol. I mean, this is the first presidential candidate who's been endorsed by the Border Patrol. You know, so this is clearly...
Finally, our guy is here, right? That sort of...
The first ever one. Although they also endorsed John McCain, so take that for what it's fucking worth. Not for president, but they endorsed him for Senate.
Just reading some of these comments.
I think Ace is getting distracted by your comments, folks.
Yeah.
The guy talking with me is Asalieri.
I'm just some fat dude. No.
He's fat and gay and fat is the general idea.
I'm not fat, thank you, baby. My daughter just kind of like, my dad's not fat, and then she left.
I don't see you as fat, Daddy.
Oh, thank you, baby. You're a sweet baby.
I see you as a daddy.
You see me as a daddy.
As daddy, I look
Tell you what, all these guys on YouTube, they see me as a daddy, too.
I'm all y'all's daddy.
Okay.
But RazörFist versus Peace Jose. Wait,
I can bring Peace Jose out because Peace Jose is Mexican and he got a problem with the wall.
Deport Pistose. I'm sorry, Pistose, you have to go back.
That's another problem. That's another problem I had is that it's...
Two dogs out the window.
Yes, they are. Leave them alone.
Okay.
Oh, God. After that,
All right, sorry.
after that interruption.
But anyways, no, it's okay. So let's
that was going to bring
about
me to another problem: is that it wasn't going to solve
cartels.
Mexico's. Well, yeah,
Yes.
that too.
Let's talk about the Mexican side of the border. What? Okay.
You're Mexican. I see he's brown.
Actually, well, I'm Argentine.
Yeah, he's Argentinian.
If you freaking
Deport me, papi. Yeah. You're my daddy.
Mamacita.
But yeah, I don't think it's going to solve Mexico's problems either. It'll be basically a tax burden for us and no reward for either side here.
Here's why I differ with that. Because right now, okay, so Mexico has a long history of sort of a passive populace. Their education system kind of trains them to be really passive.
Yeah, I mean,
one of the main things that I got from like Mexican citizens who watched my video was just saying, man, there's just the people here are just so lazy and just don't want to do anything about it.
It's really they're just downtrodden, is what.
Yeah, and that's honestly what it's about. I do think making it more difficult for them to come here. You don't have to look. You're never going to completely seal the border, and I never made that argument.
Especially considering it's not just Mexico too. We'll get to that.
It isn't. It's a South American issue, and it's increasingly expanding into other territories for myriad reasons.
I was going to bring another point up that's related to that. We have actually more Asian immigration.
It's true.
Than South American.
Although a lot of it comes in through Canada, because they go through to Canada first, then they come down here. There's a big popular thing. One of the big reasons Toronto has a huge Chinese population is because they kind of go there for long enough to become citizens, so they get the free healthcare. Then they come down here for the money and the jobs, basically.
Which are dwindling. Our economy isn't doing so well.
Yeah, which is one of the big reasons why illegal immigration and legal immigration
is going down.
Although it's going back up now as the economy recovers a little bit.
Oh, I don't know what you consider the Pew Report's numbers, you know, but
I haven't looked at them. What are you...
Yeah, they're actually down. They're not going up at the moment. They went from 12 million to 11 million.
There's a little bit of false data with regard to, you know, illegal immigration is down, or another big one that's completely false.
Would you trust the Pew research, or
well, just tell me what it is first.
It's like 12 million to 11. That's their numbers.
To 11. That seems about right. Yeah. That seems about right.
It's like it went down by 1 million.
Given how the although it's I don't know if a million is quite right, but because I know we're still getting like 3
There's also another pertinent bit of data here, and that is that from 2013 to the current year, well, 2016, not 2017, but the last recorded data is 2016. Is there's another bit of info, and that the number of illegals that have been in the country for 5 years or more has gone up dramatically from like 40% to like 60% of this number. So there's also the fact that they're not really coming in through the wall. They're already here.
It's largely overstayed visas, things like that. Which, I would argue that bureaucracy, if those people have applied for citizenship, they're gainfully employed, and they know English.
Right.
To me, that's an integrated U.S. citizen, and we should be making that...
By all practical means.
I said in my video, it shouldn't take 10 years...
Yeah, it shouldn't.
...to become a citizen. It's ridiculous.
But at the same time,
as long as you know English...
floodgates, too, that's a problem, too.
That is another problem. We do need to regulate the number of legal immigrants also, because
part of the problem
ever since Ted Kennedy's immigration law in the 60s that basically said, we had previously been like, hey, Europe, come over here. After the 60s, we were kind of like, hey, everyone else come over here, and we're going to de-incentivize European immigration. It's really hurt the economy. It's also hurt the countries that they're coming from to a large degree. So, okay, back to the subject of Mexico, though.
But
so here's my argument. I think if you make it hard enough to come here, if you at least de-incentivize coming here, there will be more of an underclass that has to stay in Mexico, and if their back is to the wall, they're going to turn and look at Mexico, and they might not revolt. I also said reform, but I also argue even a reform would be violent at this point. There's no way. We've kicked the can down the road so much, we've basically ensured there's no other way it can end.
Yeah, but again, my counter to that is there's too many factions over there. I mean, it's one of the... It's been a constant problem with South American republics in general, is that you take one dictator down and the next one pops up and they poop out another one,
and Mexico
take him down. And Mexico they already have, it's already in the people's mentality. I'm not going to say Mexicans are assholes or anything, but they already have sayings for this. You may have heard it when you were down there. El que no tranza avanza. El que tranza no avanza. It's like the man who doesn't cheat doesn't win. It's like they take pride in fucking over the other guy.
It's
I don't see them.
They have a history. Well, look, you look over Mexican history, which is really fascinating, actually. But a lot of it is just a series of increasingly violent revolutions.
Yeah.
I mean, Jesus, they were under a dictator until like 86 or so. They haven't even really been a democracy, quote unquote.
But
for many years.
even past 86, I mean, since the 20s, El PRI has been it's been the one party state for the longest time,
for a very long time.
I mean, and the party that ran against them, who were in control for 6 years with Fox, they didn't really change anything. They were practically just the other establishment party.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And
the party itself is called El Partido Revolucionario Independiente. The Revolutionary Party has been the party in power since the 20s.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting to me that it's since the 20s, because the 20s were also when all the drugs were banned here in the States, all the guns began to be regulated. And all of this plays into Mexico's issues as well, and has emboldened the cartels. I do, the legalization, man, I saw a lot of people with the counter-argument, well, if you just legalize...
Well, that's one of my arguments, too. I'm like, if you just legalize drugs, then what do the cartels profit if you take their profit margin away?
Well, cartels don't just traffic in drugs. Here's the thing.
Well, they traffic in people, too.
Saying legalizing drugs will kill the cartels is like saying banning games will kill Sony. It won't. Sony will just move into movies, or they'll move into making more televisions. They have so many different... And I'd also add, the same law that banned drugs in the United States also banned firearms. So why aren't you arguing for deregulation of firearms? Because they also traffic in a massive black market of firearms, and to a large degree, that's a huge chunk of their income.
Well, I'm for free guns, too. I mean,
okay. Well, then we don't really have a sticking point there.
No. I'm like, hey... The gun should be just as free.
Well, at least
we should only put them in jail when they're actually used on another person, you know.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense. But yeah, no.
I mean, hey, I'm not about lawlessness either. Here, let's get this straight. I mean, but you know, if you smoke it in your own house, then why should it be your neighbor's problem unless you hurt your neighbor by doing that?
That's my only argument. I am, for the most part, libertarian on the marijuana issue in particular. Yeah. Where it bothers me is thinking, okay, legalization across the board doesn't quite work for me, because then you're doing it in public, and now...
Well, see,
marijuana is not like cigarettes where you get a contact high a little bit from
yeah.
marijuana, so you're kind of making the decision for other people.
I've been to Amsterdam. The contact high thing is totally true. my little girl, who's in the other room right now, she got a contact high, and I've never heard her giggle as much as when we walked through Amsterdam.
You might not want to say that on the internet. I think it just gave...
I walked with my little girl.
Yeah, it's true. It wasn't even your fault.
Yeah, I was just I was walking through Amsterdam. Yeah. But you could smell that everywhere, especially in the center of town. You can smell that shit everywhere.
But I mean, I will say,
my argument is, if you do it in the comfort of your own home and don't commit a crime while doing it, don't fuck other people while doing it. Like, hey. It should be, you know, kill yourself if you want to.
Yeah,
you know?
I don't have any disagreement with that, especially since a lot of it is just medical or whatever. I understand it has benefits for if you're
medical. Yeah, you know, all those people go into the freaking, you know, dispensaries, or they all got cancer, don't you know?
Oh my goodness, there's a massive glaucoma uptick all of a sudden.
But suddenly everybody had a little problem with their eyes.
Is that a giant taco that just squished Trump?
Maybe.
You should have saved him from the taco. Oh my god, it is a taco. Why you know jumping? Another taco just fell on him.
So, ladies and gentlemen, you're watching my game of the year for 2016.
Degenerates! You took a kid to... What? Would you rather...
it really does. Yeah, somebody who said weed smells horrendous, that would be the other reason, is like, if my neighbor lights up a cigarette, if I'm within 10 feet, maybe I smell it.
Yeah, that's true.
If my neighbor lights up a joint, the entire neighbor is well apprised of that fact. You know.
Well, okay, so how about within indoors then, so that it doesn't fuck
air? No, again, I'm fine with that. I'm actually fine with them smoking in their backyard. I don't give a fuck.
I mean, the way I see it, if it's not hurting anybody but themselves.
Yeah. But as far as it relates to the
as far as it relates to the cartels, let's get back on subject here.
Well, absolutely. And here's the thing, like, I don't know that legalizing is going to help. I think, because the cartels ultimately are going to... What we're seeing right now is the violence has actually increased since we've begun legalizing in various states. We're at the highest level of legalization since the 1920s. And the cartel violence has compounded tenfold, if anything.
Cartel violence. We're just talking cartel violence.
Just
not
cartel
just violence. Straight across the board.
Yeah, I mean, there's a cartel.
It's all drug related.
Yeah, and now there are mini factions within the cartels. Now there's mini factions within Los Zetas.
I mean, you saw that map that I showed you of Mexico, right?
Absolutely.
You want all those people to unite in some way, shape, or form.
Well, here's the thing. Eventually,
the very president himself was bought by freaking cartels.
Yes, and what we're seeing here, and I think what's beginning to happen, is legalization in the States is affecting Mexico, but it's in a bad way. Normally when you see violence within like a drug cartel or a drug-related violence kind of a thing, it's because someone's expanding. Or someone's kind of encroaching on someone else's territory, and they don't want them to be there. Right. So, you know, this even happens in American cities. You know, one drug lord wants this corner, and so there's violence on that corner. I think that's what's beginning to happen, is because we're legalizing it here in the States, they're like, okay, fine, then we need to expand. We need to go into another market. And so as they begin to do that, you're seeing more bodies pile up.
What market do you suppose, I mean, the trafficking of... Because, I mean, we don't have total decriminalization yet. We don't have,
not yet, no.
We don't even have, like...
But we do have a very high amount of at least medicinal legalization. in the country right now.
But that's only for weed too. I mean, the cartels are still making the big bucks off of the hard
exactly,
drugs.
And that's the thing that's weird is everyone's like, well, just legalize marijuana, that'll solve the problem. It's like, what? You don't understand.
I was saying drugs across the board, but that's because I'm just that crazy.
And again, I don't agree with that either, because I think they would just expand more into human trafficking and into black market for weapons, or they would just sell more in South America.
That much money compared to what they were making on drugs, however.
Well, you have to keep
It'd
in
be
mind
like a dwindling market for them.
It would be a dwindling. It would be a dwindling side market, but again, they would just expand in another area or expand in a different territory, or because that's what we're seeing now. That's what the violence is about.
Well, the violence is
life finds a way.
The violence is the upshoot in violence you're attributing to them trying to encroach on other cartels' territories.
Yeah,
that's what I'm getting.
No, someone was saying, yeah, human trafficking is huge. Yeah, especially in Mexico. I mean, goddamn, did you?
Oh, wouldn't a wall increase that too, though?
I referenced it for a moment in my video, but I was talking about this story of here's how powerful Los Zetas are, folks. An FBI agent had a daughter. This guy lived in San Antonio. He was like a retired FBI agent.
Yeah, he had his daughter kidnapped.
His daughter goes over to Tijuana or something to go to a concert and disappears.
Oh, what concert was that?
I know, right?
The freaking donkey concert.
Her and her friend get abducted, and then they find out that her dad is an FBI agent. And of course, because he's an FBI agent, he's poking around in Mexico, and he's like, fuck this, I'm going to find my daughter.
Yeah, well, yeah.
So he goes down, he's questioning a bunch of people. Los Zetas find out about it.
Ooh.
They cross the border with impunity, and they're showing up outside his house. He goes to Denny's for a burger. They find out about it. They're perched outside of Denny's randomly in San Antonio. This is how much freaking reach they're literally stepping into our borders at this point. It's insanity. But yeah,
the problem seems to be more with the cartels than it is with actual illegal immigration.
Cartels. But here's the thing: the cartels are allowed to stay where they are. And the current power structures are allowed, and you have to understand the current power structure is also enabling and even funding the cartels. Right. So until you reform that, you can't really address the problem of the cartels. You have to have I'm
all for increasing border patrol. It's the damn wall that I don't think is going to solve many problems.
The wall is just one facet of it, and I think having a physical barrier makes it that much more difficult. Yes, you're going to have tunnels. Yes, you're still going to have people.
And the worst part, we know where the tunnels are, and they're still getting through the tunnels. That's the worst part.
Well, because we're so understaffed. Like I said,
that's why I would be all for staffing, but the wall, just no, not the wall.
But again, like you can know all the tunnels in the world, but if you don't have the manpower, when Obama cuts the Border Patrol's hours by half in 2014, there's no way you're going to be able to man all of that. And then, of course, there's the ridiculous orders that they have. You know, the fucking what outbreak was it? Was it TB outbreak that we had here in, or was it?
It was West Nile a couple of years ago.
No. Here in Arizona specifically.
Yeah, it was West Nile a couple of years ago. Back in 2012, we had that West Nile outbreak for...
I wasn't... it wasn't that, though. It was like mumps or something, and it came from one of those, there had been illegals that had been apprehended, and they were ordered by the Obama administration to keep them in a specific, location, feed, shelter, and, clothe them and so forth. And they were just kept there, in limbo. And I guess some of them got sick. And the Border Patrol agents who were watching them, or the ICE agents that were watching them, got sick. And then that turned into a mumps outbreak, even though mumps, when was the last time you heard of mumps in this country?
Didn't we already eradicate that one?
Yeah, no shit.
I got SARS, says this guy.
But yeah,
again... The wall wouldn't encourage the poor to rise up. If anything, it'll encourage them to join more Zetas. I mean, if anything, you'll be bolstering the number of the Zetas down there.
I don't see that happening because...
They're not going to join up against the government, and they're not going to fight, faction by faction.
What you're already seeing, even without the wall being erected, is them joining vigilante organizations or fighting against the cartels that way. You're already seeing that, and they don't even have the
cartels members themselves. I mean, they're rival cartels. Those vigilantes are literally rival cartels, and a lot of them are.
Well, yeah, I mean, I would need specific instances, but you know what I mean.
Well, yeah,
clearly, they're all. What I'm saying is, they're already to the point where they're like, okay, we got to do some shit about this.
Right, and then they get infiltrated by other drug cartels, or worse, get bought off by the president, who himself is bought off by the cartel.
Funded by the cartels.
Technically, the autodefensas are just as cartel as the cartels.
Well, yeah, and
they're there just to enforce some other guys.
There's a very strange, just for a bit of backstory, there's a very strange relationship between the autodefensas, which are like a vigilante kind of organization, like a civilian militia.
Yeah. Why do they have to wear masks? Aren't they the good guys?
Because everyone has to wear masks now. Haven't you seen a protest?
Haven't I seen an episode of Arrow lately where everybody is a fucking hero now?
Everyone who wears a bandana, apparently, is a goddamn social justice. But anyways.
And yeah, I just don't see these people uniting when they already have a culture of fuck the other guy, I'm going to get ahead.
Is that Undertaker?
Yes.
It is Undertaker. Holy shit.
Macho Man!
And here's Justin Gabriel.
What?
Hit super
No.
WWE superstar.
Are you sure?
Are you sure that's not like
I don't know.
like
I
Randy
just saw
Orton or something?
Short hair and black trunks.
Yeah, that's every wrestler today.
It looks kind of like Razor Ramon to me, a little bit.
No, they're not going to be that cool. They're not gonna put someone cool in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I just don't see them staging an uprising that'll actually change.
See, it's going to happen. I disagree. I see it as inevitable. The problem is we've kicked it down the road for so long. Like, if this revolution had taken place years ago, it might not have been quite as bloody. Well, but instead, there's nothing we can do because we've supported amnesty for so long. We have created a system whereby they can use our border as a pressure valve, and like steam escaping from a boiler, illegal immigrants fly up into the United States. And let's be honest, we're not really doing illegals many favors because they're just living here in an elevated form of poverty. They're living in American poverty instead of Mexican.
Well, like I said, it's still an upgrade from living on top of a fucking billboard. Though.
Absolutely.
I mean, when you weigh your options, it's not that bad, actually.
No, and I understand. This is why I don't blame illegals at all. Right. It's the regime. It's the corrupt regime that has remained in power for years. That was another thing. In 2002-ish, 2001, 2002, Mexico's president at that time, Vicente Fox, took out ads in Mexican newspapers with they were like old style propaganda paintings, and it was a bunch of dudes standing at the border getting ready to cross, and they looked all burly and it was like a Stalin propaganda poster.
Yeah, that's it's literally just propaganda.
Yeah,
nobody believes that shit.
No, absolutely. And when
the thing is,
when that came
out, in fact, some of the Mexicans that I argued with on this, they admitted themselves that they're just not proactive about this shit.
Exactly.
A lot of them are just, and I don't see a wall as motivating them either, because when it all comes down to it, they'll just flee the nation some other way.
Well, think of it this way. Look at Russia. Russia actually had a very, very passive population prior to the first revolution in the early 20th century. Okay. Very, very passive. Arguably even more passive than Mexico. But I tell you what, you stand in a bread line long enough, and your children begin starving. And I saw the squalor those people are living in. Starvation, and they have one member of the family that can go out and work, and he's working for pennies.
And they escaped Russia just the same.
Nothing and whatever. Yeah, but here's the thing: once they were starving and whatever, once they didn't have any recourse, because all the neighbors to Russia, when they saw all the shit that was going on, plus you had World War I that was starting to kick off around the time of the second one, they really didn't have anywhere to go. And they're living, of course, under a sovereign leader, a czar. Yeah. If you just decrease the options for them to leave, then they're going to have to turn around and, if they don't want it to end in blood, then they're going to have to think about reform. And honestly, it's going to end in blood anyways. Yeah. But you understand, this is not something that...
A lot of that is cultural, too. I mean, I'm not saying that Mexicans are, lazy, but they're certainly not Russians. They have a different way of dealing with things,
Yeah, but starving...
If they don't escape to the north, they'll escape they'll go to Argentina if they have to. They'll GTFO before they overthrow their government.
The hilarious part of it all is All the while, the Mexican government's like, no, you can't build that wall. No, 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 you can't. You have to think of the people. Yeah, all the while, you look at their southern.
They don't give a fuck.
You look at their southern border with Guatemala and how they treat those freaking people.
Oh yeah.
Jesus Christ, the atrocities they commit against the Guatemalan people. It's absurd. Like, they're hardcore about border enforcement along the southern border. They'll shoot people trying to run across. And they're mad at us for wanting to build a wall and just enforce.
Well, they're mad at us for wanting them to pay for it, and that's another problem. Is I see what Trump means when he says I'm going to make Mexico pay for it. Yes, he's going to increase tariffs on them.
He's going to increase tariffs.
What he's going to do, in effect, by doing that, is increase the price of my fucking avocados and corn and shit.
Well, he's going to renegotiate.
Instead of paying five bucks a bag for 4 avocados, I'm going to have to pay $10.
Well, here's the thing: he's already going to renegotiate.
The savings
NAFTA.
are
he's already renegotiating NAFTA, so I think we're going to get less produce from Mexico, anyways. You know, and probably that'll be part of him trying to stick it to Mexico, so it's like, hey guys, you better pay for this.
Where am I gonna get my avocados, though? Fuck! I mean, I like those fucking things. You think I like that Mexican produce? Damn straight I like it.
I don't even.
Because I come from down there. I say I need this food to survive.
Am I the only one in this room who hates avocados? This is gonna be the real debate: is fuck you and your avocados.
Fuck you and your avocados.
Yes, fuck you and your avocados.
Okay. Well, oh, these plebs over here.
And fuck
avocados. Fuck avocados. We need to start that hashtag, fuck avocados.
Make guacamole great again.
Make guacamole. Well, if we're making guacamole without avocados, right? So basically tomato paste.
Basically nothing but onions and
nothing
garlic.
but onions and a little bit of tomato.
Yeah, a little bit.
Avocados must burn in fucking hell. See, these are the people you're talking to. That's the sad part. But yeah, I mean, and then there's the other, you know. Again, I don't think it's gonna drive them to revolt. There's too many factions, and I told you about the Norteña versus Sureños.
Here's the thing: you don't even have to drive them to revolt. They're all going to end up there. Mexico has a long and storied history of revolting against its government.
It's going to end up being worse than Syria if you drive them that bad. There's going to be all these factions all trying to vie for power,
that differs from any other revolution. How?
Yeah, that's true. But I'd rather there be 2 warring factions and not like 7 warring factions.
In Russia, they had the Tsar, they had the Mensheviks.
They had the White Army and the Red Army. That was it.
No, they had the Mensheviks, they had the Bolsheviks, they also had normal socialists, normal Democrats.
I'm talking about the actual belligerents who actually had the power to fight.
Or even look at Italy prior to World War II. With, you had socialists that were vying for control. You had the parliamentary guys. You had the Democrats. Then you had the fascists with Mussolini that were moving into power. And then, of course, you had the monarchy on top of that. Any revolution's going to be like that.
Yeah, but
let's hope it turns out better than Italy.
It's going to turn out bad for your little girl over there. What was her name? Maria or something?
Yeah, well, she's probably over here by now. That was in 2001.
Well, you better damn well hope she's here by now, because if that shit happens,
well, in Tijuana, she was so close to the border. There's no way. They definitely got over here. I mean, basically every single day when I would go build houses for them, the dad would be gone the whole day, and he'd just be looking for a coyote to take them across. The whole
He's
day.
all like, fuck this building a house shit.
Yeah,
let's get me the fuck out of here.
He'd go do some odd jobs for a few pennies, and then afterward he'd just go out and talk to coyotes and see who could take him across.
Welcome to reasons why we need to build the wall higher. Well, that's the other thing. You wanted to couple that up with more deportations.
Yeah.
Again, it's like that number that I quoted you. A lot of these people have already been here for 5 to 10 years. Like the number of people who've been here 5 or more years has increased by a good.
And I gotta say, outside of the ones that have committed crimes, I don't think Trump is sending those people back.
Well, actually,
I don't think he is.
Actually, if you look at our immigration courts, they have a backlog that's ridiculous. These people are literally they have an incentive to get that shit done quickly, so they're like, fuck it, deport. A lot of these cases don't even get seen. They'll be like, well, come to court for your deportation case to get deported because we don't have time or the resources to even look at your paper. We're just going to boot you and assume that you're a Mexican.
Yeah.
And they've even, like, I don't know if you heard about what was that kid? There was this one kid, American kid, who was born in North Carolina. And they deported him to Mexico.
Rand Paul?
No, it was freaking, what's his face? Ted Cruz.
No, he's Canadian.
Yeah, he's Canadian.
Jesus Christ. Mexican
No.
guy.
It was Mitt Romney. Yeah, Mitt Romney. That Mexican.
No, he's from the planet Kolob.
That too.
It's where he imports his holy underpants.
But no. There was this case. Oh, what was his name?
What in the world are you do? Make America Great Again, Hat Factory.
Did they just drop a freaking barrel on him? Rump avoid shooting.
Rump avoid shooting. Still insists Chinese love him.
But yeah, Mark Little was the name of the guy. An American, and because he just looked too brown, and because he had some sort of mental disability, the guy didn't speak really good English, so they mistook this. I mean, shit. We deport Creoles all the time, and they're fucking from Louisiana. They're American. They just don't talk American. They're like, hey, well, come on down there, little crawfish. They deport those motherfuckers all the time. Let's be honest. Our freaking our immigration courts are shit, and they're well understaffed. And my proposal would be to increase their staffing so we can get these cases right. We don't want Americans deported to Mexico. This Mark Little guy was deported to Mexico. Then the Mexicans said, oh, wait, this guy's not Mexican. They deported him to Honduras. Then Honduras deported him to Guatemala. Yeah. And the Guatemalans deported him back to America.
Which is amazing.
And when he reached American shores, it just started all over again. They're like, oh, well, he's not American. Yeah. Because we already deported him once, we're going to deport him again. The poor guy.
And it's funny that we're arguing about this, because if Hillary had become president...
Oh, it'd be worse.
Probably would be even worse. You remember Elian Gonzalez?
Oh God. Yeah, the little Cuban kid from...
That was under Clinton, ladies and gentlemen.
That was under Clinton.
I mean, but no, I would argue... You at least have to make it harder for them to come over, because otherwise the Mexican people are going to be too laissez-faire about it.
We can't just deport, we can't just do this like the Vietnam for, like I told you, like what do we do? Just pick a number, and if you're over 300, you're deported. Go
what I argued is he should do kind of a Project Wetback thing again. Where, like, Dwight Eisenhower...
The sad thing is Eisenhower literally called it Project Wetback.
Well, yeah, this was before they were colloquially referred to as wetbacks.
But it's funny that was the original name for it.
That's where it comes from. But the idea, it really wasn't that bad of an idea. It was, we can't logistically deport millions of people, so what we're going to do is we're going to deport a few thousand, and we're going to make sure there's news cameras there.
I don't know if a few thousand will put a dent in your numbers, though.
It won't put a dent in your numbers, but here's the thing. If you make sure the news cameras are there and you make a big enough show of it, they're largely going to head back on their own anyway, because it's like...
So. I think like I told you, they're just going to get better at hiding.
All I'm saying is that's what...
They're going to be like, well... Shit, now they're making a public spectacle out of this. I better make myself as scarce as fucking possible.
Yeah. Well, they got their pamphlets from the Mexican government telling them how to evade ICE.
They already know where to find the water. No, well, it's not just the Mexican government. You also have all these, what do they call it? Like Greenpeace type organizations. Yeah. They're the ones putting that kind of shit out, and the Mexicans just don't stop them. Yeah, the Mexicans are like, hey, this is good for us too. So yeah. Put all them ads as you want.
They for the most part.
The Mexican president's too busy putting ads on his TV saying, "Stop fucking complaining" to his own people.
You're not telling lies, man.
And the funny thing is that commercial, it's like anything else on the internet. They pulled it from their, not only the Mexican government's YouTube channel, but also from TV, like instantly, because of the backlash. And that shit never went away. Now it's like you can find it on like 10 different YouTube channels right now. Yep. People re-uploaded that shit because it never goes away once it's online.
Nope. Good lord.
So at least the Mexicans know where they stand. They know that their president fucking hates them, and they hate him back. But I don't know if that's if that's going to translate.
They're
into
just, but again, they're just so laissez-faire about it. Okay, well
yeah.
we kind of have talked out the Mexican side of the border.
Right.
What about the American side?
Well, the American side of the border, I mean, like I said, most
They
of these
took
people are
our
already
germs.
They
here.
took our germs.
Ah, fuck that Tooker germs. At least we're trying to make sense of it. Fucking
Yeah.
Matt and Trey Parker. Yeah.
Not just telling a shitty joke 50 times in a row.
Yeah. And no, it's more about it's more than just they took our germs. Yeah, like we're just gonna go to the fucking strawberry fields and start picking them. Yeah, go fuck yourself. Yeah, because I see so many people just wanting to go right. I see so many, red hot-blooded Americans.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go pick some strawberries.
Although I will say,
for less than minimum wage.
Although I will say, in the middle of the Great Recession, there's probably a few people who probably would have been willing to go that route.
And again, between that and my current job, I might just go fucking.
And the recession we're headed towards, by the way. I mean, it's a
yeah.
it's a mathematical certainty, effectively, because.
Well, that's also why I brought the population thing into effect. As you know, come on, we're both smart people here. You know that a robust economy depends on constant growth, consistent growth, and we're rapidly reaching ZPG.
Yeah.
And by the year, these numbers are going down, down.
Mainly
worse than that stupid '90s song.
Yeah, mainly it's because. Oh God! You had to do it. You had to go there.
This motherfucker put fucking Pump the Jam in my head, so I feel justified in making this reference now.
Now his feet are thumping.
But yeah, I mean, because of that, our economy is actually not doing so well because we're not growing.
No, but a lot of it.
But at the same time, yeah, I don't want the floodgates open wide. Be like, okay, let everybody in here.
The main reason why
either,
we're going to be having a recession is because we've kept, well, two things. Number one, the housing market is retracting because of China's financial issues.
ZPG means zero population growth.
Yeah, zero growth.
We're at 0.7, just to give you an idea, currently.
Somewhere thereabouts.
And that's pretty alarming, considering just 3 years ago we were still above the 1 level.
Yeah. For the record, guys, even if Trump turns out to be the greatest president in history...
We're still going to face a recession.
We're still going to have a recession having nothing at all to do with him. Having nothing at all to do with Obama, either, frankly.
This problem is just
well, a little bit to do with Obama, because he did keep interest rates low. That was definitely him.
Trump's idea is to fucking say, you know what? Our debts, we're gonna cut them in half.
Yeah.
We're only gonna pay half of it now, guys. Go fuck yourselves. Oh man, Trump, you're gonna open a can of worms with that shit.
Yeah,
I think China is gonna have something to say about that.
What you're consistently seeing with Trump, though, is he aims high and then goes back down to earth.
Yeah. Well,
no,
it's that aim high when he goes for that rhetoric, that whole, oh, you know what? I'm gonna fucking pay less now.
Yeah.
I'm not going to pay what we owe.
But that's consistently what he's done.
Well, yeah.
But anyway, yeah, we're going to have issues because of the low interest rates, and interest rates being low for as long as they have. There just has to be a correction. And also because of China. China's having huge problems. People are talking about still been talking about how, oh my God, China's a dynamo, China's unstoppable. But it's not.
The problem is China itself is trying to move into the service sector, which the United States already has populated up to hell. We have that market so cornered, China can't even get an elbow in there.
Yeah, so China's
They don't want to be an industrial nation, and we don't want to be an industrial nation, so who's going to build the cars?
Yeah. So China's having a lot of issues, and China is the foremost purchaser of American real estate, for those who don't know. Yeah. So if China has problems, they do not suffer in a vacuum any more than the United States does. When the United States,
there goes that global economy shit again.
Exactly. So we are facing recession regardless.
Maybe even depression if things get really bad.
Yeah, I mean...
the Dow drops sufficiently, you could actually see much worse.
I don't necessarily know that it'll go quite that far, but we're definitely looking at a recession, bare minimum. So yeah.
And that's just a sign of the times, really.
On the U.S. side of the border, I think, for the most part, I think the negatives of illegal immigration are primarily just of crime, and because the drug crime from Mexico involving the cartels just turns into drug crime here in the States.
Yeah. And I told you about the norteños versus sureños thing too. I mean, my dad saw 5 norteños shank a motherfucking sureño in jail. I mean, these people aren't fucking around. They hate each other.
Yeah.
I don't see them as uniting. If anything, there'll be a civil war within a civil war within a civil war.
Yeah.
That's gonna be a bloodbath that you're gonna wish we didn't have them as our neighbors if that happens. You know.
But here's the thing: if Mexico can, even if Mexico has a violent revolution or just a violent reform,
No, but
at the end of it, if we can have a Mexico that somewhat has its shit together, how much better would it be?
it would be better, but that's also like a pipe dream when it's you know.
If
when
you can get to the
concerned.
point where it's the actual democracy it was supposed to be after the '86 revolution,
nice work if you can get it, as they say. You know?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. That was what the '86 revolution was supposed to be about. It just didn't materialize into that. It turned into one party rule, like always.
Yep. And it was the same party that was
At the behest of the cartels. Yeah. That was amazing, by the way.
I like how we were both like momentarily stunned by that moment. We're both looking at that like, damn.
Props, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, and now that Trump's second term is basically guaranteed thanks to Antifa, Jesus Christ!
Antifa's a gift. Yeah.
They're basically the campaigning department of the Trump administration. Am I wrong? He doesn't even have to go out and give speeches at this point.
It's crazy, isn't it?
All they have to do is just keep fucking rioting.
I mean, shit. A year ago, you wouldn't have caught me dead saying, "Yeah, I'm gonna vote for Trump." Yet here I was a year later.
You know what? The worst, at a bare minimum, you can say Trump is not connected to the current structure at all, and that's at least a positive. You know, everyone in the establishment hates him. Republicans hate him. John McCain hates him, which was, by the way, that was my first clue that he was the one I was going to vote for. Was when John McCain.
Anybody who could piss off John McCain.
I know. I was instantly like, well, let me hear what this man has to say. Shit.
Yeah, man. I would rather just increase border patrol and then just you know, maybe just
border patrol gets
overstaff
increased either way, though.
Yeah,
either
but
way.
not the wall, because the fucking $25 billion, and with our economy going the way it is, you don't want to see that debt on your fucking.
And fundamentally, I don't think it'll be $25 billion. In fact, I don't think it'll be anywhere near.
If it's anywhere close to that, even $10 billion is bad. I think.
I don't think
the
so.
tax burden is shared, sunshine. So you know.
I don't think so. And you have to keep in
My
mind
kids are going to be paying for that.
the way
wall,
that he
you know?
plans to fund it is not just by through tariffs. He plans to tax remittances from Mexico. So the money that they send back to their relatives, he plans to tax. He's basically taking a page out of Carlos Slim's book. Yeah. That's how Carlos Slim became a billionaire and the most wealthy man in the frickin' world, is by, you know, every single time he owns one of the major communications companies in Mexico. So all the wire transfers, he makes a buck every single one. And
Jesus.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He's gotta be.
How do you?
He's a monocle.
Yeah, he wasn't talking to us. He was saying, "Oh Jesus" to his gameplay.
No. I was talking about you.
Oh, you were
guys.
talking
Yeah.
to us.
Carlos Slim is a monocle and a moon laser away from being a Bond villain at this point. So I mean, he's got more money than God.
Yeah. Yep.
And that, by the way, is a huge reason.
He was in Times like in their top 10 most influential people on the planet. That should tell you something.
Yeah, and he's also the majority shareholder of the New York Times. A big reason why New York Times is not a fan of Trump, beyond their latent liberal bias, is because Carlos Slim, you know, Mexican businessman, is there, and of course he doesn't agree with the.
Who's your favorite president in modern history? Well, I'll let him answer first.
In modern history,
Theodore Roosevelt for me.
Yeah. Teddy's great.
yeah, I think
There's
Andrew.
the guy who gave a shit.
Yeah.
Andrew Johnson, the one who almost got impeached. What?
No, Andrew. Andrew.
What?
No.
Fucking Lincoln's successor? No. Oh, Andrew Jackson.
Although Andrew Johnson is underrated, he is actually
Underrated?
He is. He actually did some very important reconstruction work.
He did some serious vetoing up there. I think doesn't he still have the record.
Well,
for
you have
most
to keep in
vetoes?
mind he was.
But he didn't even have a full presidency term.
You have to keep in mind he was. This is post assassination. This is post Civil War.
Yeah,
half of the country. He had to veto a lot of stuff because it was after a massive civil war. He's honestly a better president than people give him credit for.
We beat the belligerents. Now let's make the belligerents, not pay for what they've done.
Yeah, exactly. Of the modern presidents, I would say I did like Teddy. I think I like Taft better from a policy standpoint.
Oh no.
But
Taft, the one who Teddy...
Taft was like libertarian.
The one who Teddy himself said...
Oh, Teddy hated his guts.
Yeah, Teddy hated his guts, and he helped put him there.
But honestly, it was more personal than anything, because if you look at his policies, honestly, he pretty much carried forward all of Teddy's big policy proposals.
Policy.
But then he was a little more principled and kind of smaller government...
That's a surprising
conservative
answer to hear from me. I didn't expect Taft to come out of your mouth.
No, I like Taft. I think he's pretty underrated.
I think he was better as a Supreme Court justice.
I think the single most underrated president of the 20th century was probably Calvin Coolidge. The poor guy got saddled with the Depression, and he had the right idea. If we had stuck with his policies of just leaving the goddamn economy alone, we could have gotten out of the Depression several years earlier.
Then Hoover wouldn't have had to deport so many Mexicans.
There never would have been any Hoovervilles.
Yeah,
they never would have been all the horrible squalor you saw during the Depression. I mean, we still would have had the Depression, but we could have gotten out of it.
There's that other one I'm telling you. You're like, they took our neighborhoods. I'm like, nah, we took our neighborhoods, bro. We've been taking our neighborhoods for a while now.
Well, I mean, clearly it affects it. Clearly, illegal immigration affects it. If you go down to South Phoenix and there isn't a single billboard in English.
Yeah, but why aren't we like pissed off at all the Chinatowns in California either? I mean, they also refuse to integrate, and most of those Asians also keep to their culture.
But that doesn't generally come with a massive amount of drug crime and street violence.
Well,
I mean, there are Asian gangs. I'm not saying there aren't.
I guess it's not as prevalent.
Not as prominent. Yeah,
but
all
it's still,
I'm saying.
I mean, it's still refusing to integrate, which I believe was your point, wasn't it?
No, my point was honestly more about the crime that comes over from, because that was what really did it. My sort of anecdote was when I was talking about, I lived more in South Phoenix. There was a highway, I wish I could remember the name of it, that was under construction, and
to Tucson. It
was finished. No, it like connected us to like Guadalupe, and then through there to Tucson. And so something I'd have to
the 87 B line.
I'd have to look. It was finished in like 94, 93, 90, or early 90s, early to mid 90s.
Well, the I-10 was already there.
Yes,
so
I know that.
It was supposed to run parallel to the
I remember
I-10?
it was like one of the highways that you always, if you ever went from Phoenix to Mesa, you had to take it, or Phoenix to Tempe. Was it the 60 that was completed? Anyways, there was an on-ramp right near our neighborhood. And the effect that freeway...
How close to Guadalupe did you live?
Oh, no. It was we're talking South Phoenix. We're talking where all the freaking streets are named after presidents.
Oh, okay.
Right? so we're talking South Phoenix, near South Mountain.
Which country's presidents?
Yeah. Once they have the wrong names.
Where the streets are named after presidents, and...
William Henry Harrison was the greatest president. Yeah, 39 days. Great. He had so much time to be great, too.
McKinley! But anyways...
well, at least McKinley got a couple of years at the helm before getting killed.
Which is interesting. It's interesting that you say Teddy Roosevelt, because I actually see a lot of parallels between Trump and Teddy in terms of their temperament.
I don't know. I compare Teddy more to Reagan than to.
Well, Reagan wasn't like a firebrand. Like Teddy was a dick. Right. Like Teddy Roosevelt was like
he didn't give a fuck.
He was blustery. He was egocentric. He was a freaking tower of energy. He was slamming coffee all day long. Right? Like
It probably helped his
Teddy Roosevelt.
Hey, and the motherfucker survived a fucking bullet.
He did. He was campaigning for his second run. Right. His second run, and he wound up getting shot right before.
Yeah. See, you're a fucking, you're just like a stone throw away from Chuck Norris if your assassin shoots you and is unsuccessful.
Well, for example, anyone out there who watches my show's probably seen.
I think Teddy even spat the bullet back at him. He's like, "Fuck you!"
It was like The Mask. But no, like. He got shot, and then he actually opens up his speech by saying, "I regret to inform everyone, I've just been shot." Now on to the speech.
Yeah. And it started with something like "Hasta la vista, baby."
And he actually went long on the speech. Not even kidding.
He finished his speech.
He went long on this. It's absolutely brilliant. Oh my God, there's a Hell in a Cell. More watchable than anything the WWE's put out.
Dude,
in
what
the
is
last...
this? What is this Q-op physics that you're going on? That cannot. You cannot do that.
What's the name of the agent, by the way?
That is.
Do we know?
Q-op physics.
This is the
A bullet can't stop the bull moves. Yeah, I think he actually said that.
He did actually say that.
He did one of these to his freaking assassin in the crowd.
And did the title move?
Teddy Roosevelt was no one to fuck with, and very, very much involved in the Mexican Mexican-American War with the Rough Riders.
Yeah. Well, that was the Spanish
Spanish-American War. Yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah, that's Cuba actually, where he fought.
Yep.
But man, yeah. See, we don't have presidents like that anymore.
I see a lot of parallel. I think he's the closest. I think Trump is actually very Teddy Roosevelt-esque. He's a populist, number one. Is not believed to be conservative by his own party. Yeah. Is hated by his establishment.
Okay,
which is true.
Right.
I mean, the establishment just about committed seppuku when Teddy Roosevelt ascended to the presidency.
Well, you don't have to make that question. He's literally answering.
Yeah, someone just asked if there could be someone
another Teddy. He's literally saying that Trump is your Teddy.
Well, there is a delay on those streams.
Yeah, that's true.
But he's vindictive and blustery. I mean, Teddy Roosevelt held grudges. He cost the Republicans the presidency and handed it to Woodrow Wilson just because he was pissed at Taft.
Now, there's a weak president, if you ask me. Woodrow Wilson was pretty damn weak.
And he was a fucking socialist, hardcore socialist. My God,
he's the reason that I mean, the Revolutionary War was about cutting ties with Europe. What does Woodrow Wilson do? He ties us right the fuck back to them.
He does. He absolutely does. Woodrow Wilson was a fucking mistake.
Oh yeah.
Although he did give us
count a lot of our modern problems. You can blame
although
Wilson
I will say, all the people who were like, "Well, it's time for the first female president." No, his wife was already the first female president because he had a fucking stroke and hid it from the American people. Didn't tell anyone. Our freaking president was immobilized, and they hid it. Yeah. From the populace, and so an unelected woman was running the country for the last 3 years of his presidency, which is absurd.
Well, then you have also Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who did a good job of hiding his disability.
He had a little.
The guy literally had two bodyguards. He bounced back and forth between.
He could walk a little bit. He could walk.
But he walked weirdly. I mean, you see some of that footage, and it looks like a freaking penguin being bounced around by two compounds.
Man, that takes some nuts. I'm no fan of FDR, but that takes some
nuts.
solid brass balls. When you freaking are crippled by polio, to teach yourself to walk for brief spurts.
Yeah.
That's
just for appearance's sake.
More people than polio.
Undertaker. That is.
No. America's worst president by a mile was a man by the name of James Buchanan. That was our worst president. Let's get something straight.
Yeah, I'd have to think about that one, but
I don't know if Woodrow Wilson would be up there, but James Buchanan was a terrible president.
Jimmy Carter would have to be
Jimmy
up there.
Carter is a bad one, too.
He was a really bad one.
Yeah, shit.
Nixon left in disgrace, but his policies weren't actually that bad.
Yeah, actually, his policies were pretty solid.
As an executive, he was okay. Really, he pulled us out of Vietnam.
Yeah, what really fucks with Nixon is literally Watergate. If not for Watergate, his presidency itself wasn't a terrible one. Which
is ironic. He's the exact opposite of JFK. My opinion, JFK, if he had not been assassinated, would have gone down as one of the worst, in my opinion. Because think about it, he started Vietnam. If he had to sit in Vietnam and actually carry that out...
LBJ kept it going, though.
But LBJ hated Vietnam. He only kept it going because JFK was so adamant about it. LBJ, as much as I hate him, to his credit, he did not like the Vietnam War at all, but he was like, well, fuck, we're in it. And
Oh,
JFK
Grant was a terrible president.
Grant was also a bad president, but he was bad just because he was not a very good
No,
executive.
he was a great military leader, horrendous president.
Yeah.
He wasn't meant to lead a nation. He was only meant to lead troops.
Is that a dick shot?
They're going after Trump's nuts now?
Again, ladies and gentlemen, we are watching footage of my game of the year.
And we're rating presidents now for some odd reason.
Our game of the year 2016, Mr. President.
Damn!
Whoa!
Damn!
Man was
They still managed to get...
and the flag fell down. Now you have to burn it. God damn it.
Jesus, he has to go through freaking metal bars to take that bullet. Now there's a guy who wants to die for his country.
Yeah. But as I was saying, I mean, you look at JFK, I think he would have gone down as one of the worst. People say, oh, he dealt with the Cuban Missile Crisis so well. And I'm like, I agree.
He also helped create
He also created the Cuban Missile Crisis. There wouldn't have been a problem to solve.
He already gave his thoughts on Taft. No, but... Okay, even if it's 3 seconds behind... Taft was like 5 minutes ago, guys. Yeah. Keep up.
And I don't feel comfortable saying Obama was one of the worst. It hasn't been long enough. But he was not good.
It's the same reason I wouldn't say Bush was one of the worst, even, you know.
Yeah, me either.
He was a terrible leader.
He was abominable, but...
a terrible leader, but...
I think it would be hyperbole at this...
To use any modern...
Short of remove...
See, that's why for me it's just so easy to just go to Buchanan, because Buchanan literally did nothing. When you do nothing, that's worse than doing something in a lot of cases. And the man just basically twiddled his thumbs while South Carolina decided to declare war on him.
Yeah. Didn't give a fuck.
That guy did not give a fuck. And, I mean, even before him, Pierce wasn't that good either. It was a string of bad presidents. Fillmore, Pierce, and then Buchanan.
Yeah.
All of them bad. All of them
Yeah, just a
shit.
run of dog shit presidents.
And that's kind of what led to the Civil War, is that run of dog shit presidents.
Absolutely.
All of whom refused to take a stand on, on slavery and slave, states.
Which is hilarious because there were founding fathers who had issues with slavery.
Yeah.
They were already talking about it.
And these are guys who actively avoided the topic whenever they could, and meanwhile the country was just burning behind them, and they just let it burn and burn and burn, and every president successively made it worse by continuing to ignore the problem.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, at least Lincoln nutted up and said, fuck this.
Did you just do a spinning bird kick?
Fuck yeah, that guy wanted to take a bullet.
Spinning bird kick.
Didn't Andrew Jackson tell her? Andrew Jackson...
Yep.
Andrew Jackson I have mixed feelings about.
Andrew Jackson is better than contemporary college professors make him out to be.
Yeah.
But he was still pretty... Look, there's
these
no...
liberal colleges are all these racists. You got to look at the president in the... in the time, yes, if you have a guy with Andrew Jackson's, creds today, you'd be like, well, shit, this is David Duke or some shit like that.
Yeah, speaking of which, my mother did a genealogy.com type thing, and apparently she's distantly related to Andrew Jackson.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah! So there's a thing.
Yeah, I got old Hickory over here.
Yeah.
I guess you're new Hickory then.
I guess. I don't know. But, no, Andrew Jackson was alright. He just... You have to keep in mind, the Trail of Tears was... There's no dressing up the Trail of Tears, okay?
Yeah.
I understand this. But, at the same time, you have to keep in mind, we actually fought the Native Americans. They actually declared war on us when we got here. So... They fought us. That they got their asses kicked is not our fault. They decided to pick a fight with a bunch of guys who had fire sticks.
I mean, they had it, they already had the odds stacked against them to begin with.
There's no defending us breaking treaties and shit like that. I mean, there's absolutely... The Fort Laramie Treaty never should have been broken. Yada, yada, yada. You could certainly go throughout the history of American Indian relations.
Wouldn't be the first time we fucked them over, I guess.
Absolutely not. But, you will say, these are people who lost a war, and we said, hey, now you have to go live over here. Actually, that happens after war all the time.
Chaz Arthur was actually a good president as far as I'm concerned. The guy earned the hatred of his own party because he actually didn't do what they expected him to do.
Sound familiar?
Yeah. Yeah, I guess so. I mean, they picked him as vice president. They never expected him to.
And I'll say this about Andrew Jackson: it is just badass as fuck that if he disagreed with someone, he wouldn't go to the media and be like, take a.
Oh no, he'd take the freaking glove off and say, "I demand satisfaction." That's
he would cane them in the street. The man walked with a cane for beating. That's absolutely
he definitely
brilliant.
demanded satisfaction if you insulted him.
Glove slap.
Wow.
Good episode of The Simpsons.
Where were we now? Oh yeah, Mexicans.
I think we're more or less top
American
down.
history is so much cooler than.
It is. Well, no, that's not true. Mexican history is actually very interesting.
That's
another reason, you know, it's
some of it
such
from 1920 onward. It's literally the one-party system.
Yeah, the 20th century isn't so great with
hasn't
Mexican
been
history.
kind to them, no.
But early 20th century,
Well, the
and
1850s weren't kind to Mexico.
Yeah.
All these states that you know that we have illegal immigrants in. Well, they were original Mexico, so.
And that's, you know, Mexico has to be corrupt because I said this in my video. You look at the amount of natural resources they have. You look at the culture they have. You look at they actually have a rich culture. They have a rich natural pool of natural resources. They're sitting on the largest oil reserves in the hemisphere.
All of which have been stolen by oligarchs.
All of which, yeah, absolutely. There's a massive...
And that's the worst part, is if a revolution were to happen, the rich will just flee the nation with all that shit. That's...
And that'll probably happen, and you know what? In all honesty, that's probably overdue.
Hey, shit, that's what Pinochet did in Chile. They're like, oh shit, they're gonna... All these socialists are gonna take me down? Well, I'm gonna take my riches and go the fuck to Switzerland. Goodbye!
Yeah, you want to talk about
He lived in basically what was, you know... a very elevated form of house arrest where he basically got to live the good life until he died. Then they sent his body back to Chile so that some students could spit on it, and that was literally the only punishment Pinochet ever got. Some people never get that justice that they deserve, you know?
Yeah.
Pinochet did nothing wrong. Yeah, ask half of Chile.
No shit. But no, I actually want to thank you for doing the debate here and rocking and rolling on this and looks like I'm going to be stuck paying for that wall, whether it's 10 billion or 25 billion, because Trump literally... Yeah, like I said, I just don't buy that price tag, and I didn't really get this out.
I'm from the same state RazörFist is from.
Yeah, we're both in Arizona. We're actually in the same room talking now, so...
If you didn't notice by the fact that we weren't on separate microphones.
Yeah.
Why is Pinochet a bad president? He gave us a free helicopter ride. This is what I expected. Free Kekistan. You know, I hope that's what they rename Mexico. Mexico is such a horrible name, man. It's already been ruined.
You know what? Let's go ahead and
Kekistan.
I say we push for the California the Calexit.
Calexit.
We can just rename that Dipfuckistan.
Well, see, that's the thing is, at least if California secedes from the nation, that's a part of the border we no longer have to worry about.
Oh my god. You want to let all the Mexicans in you want.
Yeah.
Fellas, go for it.
Hey, you want to secede from the nation, that's fine.
I don't see that happening.
Well, if you ask Arnie, I mean, he's already said shit to that effect. Like, we need to get out of here.
Arnold is so out of his mind. I love how much shit Trump is giving him
on
Twitter.
Yes.
Oh man, Trump he's going after Arnie.
No, that's the thing is, I thought they were buddies, but then he started like shitting on him for The Apprentice. He's all like, "When I was on The Apprentice, it was classy." Now that Arnie's on it, oh man,
he's shitting on him for The Apprentice, for backing Hillary, for oh my god, what a retard! Arnie absolutely shit all over himself this election. Yeah. Absolutely.
What was he even thinking? I mean,
look, Arnold Schwarzenegger was a disaster as governor in California. He did not help anything at all. He was clearly just kind of a Democrat with an R next to his name in California.
Yeah, that's practically what he was, actually.
And it was such a circus, if anyone remembers that recall election.
The only reason he had an R next to his name is because he was friends with Reagan back in the 80s.
That's really it.
That's the only reason he had an R next to his name.
Yeah.
Man, Arnold and Trump feud. Let off some steam, Bennett.
Somebody needs to make that video game.
Trump versus
Arnie Kaiju Big Battle. That's what I want to see.
let off some steam, Trump.
Just Trump and Arnie as giant kaiju robots fighting in downtown New York. That's what I say.
Is Asalieri the guy who did the
Dueling on top of Trump Tower.
No, I believe that was TERRAN GEL.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, any questions, audience?
Yeah. Any questions, ladies and gentlemen, before we end this
For
stream?
either one of us. I mean, I think now's the time when you just open it up for questions, because at this point we're just rambling and marveling at how many bullets this man has taken for Trump. Sorry, for Rump.
For Rump.
Is there like a copyright on his name? Can you not put Trump in the
Oh,
name?
they just did it. Well, it's funnier. Why the fuck
I
not?
guess. Is that instead of Putin, it's Rutin?
Yeah, so let's get your thoughts on the riots at Berkeley. What do you think?
Oh yeah, this whole
Antifa.
You will not divide us. You will not divide. Could have fooled me, guys.
Yeah, let's set the building on fire. That'll help with the division.
Yeah, let's blow up a limo. That's definitely going to help that unitedness, won't it? Let's blow up a limo. Black Lives Matter, anybody?
At this point, Antifa is just the publicity department for the Trump administration, are they not?
Might as
They've
well.
pretty much guaranteed a second term for the man. All he has to do is not shit
So,
himself.
did you vote for Daddy? Yes, I did vote for Daddy. Assuming I'm guessing Daddy as opposed to Mommy. I
It's
could
what
have
Milo-
never voted for Mommy.
It's what Milo calls Trump. Daddy.
What game is this? What happened? Let's see. How would you feel about Puerto Rico as a state? It's pretty much been a state in everything.
Is
but
it true
name.
that only Mormons and Mexicans live in Arizona? Let me tell you a story about the Mormon Church. This is how omnipresent the Mormon Church is.
I like how he said Mexicans. It's very classy.
So I'm doing a report in college about Joseph Smith. I've talked about this on a previous stream, but I find Joseph Smith fascinating because he's such a bullshit artist.
Well, he was good at it. I mean,
he was a very
never
good.
had to show those gold plates ever.
and
everybody believed him. Yeah, there's these gold plates. I buried them. You see?
Oh, you see, I was attacked by a frog creature in the woods.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway,
Those
he
gold
literally
plates-
said that. By the way,
the gold plates didn't. I don't have.
Apparently,
to show
his wife one time was cleaning their house. He refused to show his wife the plates, but he kept them under a cloth one day,
Yeah.
and she had to move them to dust. And she said it felt like tinfoil. They were just tinfoil.
Oh, gee, I wonder.
Anyone know how heavy gold is?
Yeah.
It's about as dense as lead. It should not have felt like fucking tinfoil. That's Joseph Smith's wife. But anyway, here's a funny story.
His own wife is like, this gold is really light.
So here's a funny story about the Mormon Church. I'm doing my report on Joseph Smith, and so I had never used the library at Phoenix College before.
Right.
So I went over to Phoenix College to use their library because it's open to the public. Yeah. And
It's a free
I'm just grabbing all these books on Joseph Smith, and I'm noticing in the margins they're all positive. All the books are positive. I'm like, what is it? And I look on the inside. I look on the inside jacket, donated by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And I'm like,
there you go.
okay. And then I grab another book.
Also
This is
donated.
positive too. Look on the inside jacket, donated by Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I'm like, this is weird.
Notice a little
Maybe
theme
it's
here.
just the Mormon Church trying to like educate people about their church. So I just go to a completely different aisle and I grab like a book on carpentry. And I open it. Donated by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Like the entire library at Phoenix College was donated by the Mormon Church.
Jesus.
That's how fucking omnipresent the Mormon Church is in Phoenix.
Well, the name of the library is the Brigham Young wing of the.
Well, yeah, and the Mormon Church has like an entire like information. Like they have a ministry of information. Like they actually edit all the Wikipedia articles.
Yeah,
they go through. They have like an established canon of Mormon history. They excise things from the history and add things.
Yeah, didn't you know that black people are really just Americans who sinned?
Oh.
And we're given a skin of blackness.
Oh,
Razor,
God.
tell them about the lighter shade. Tell them that.
Well,
I love how,
this
according
was
to
recently,
their religion, a black person only needs to believe in the Book of Mormon, and suddenly you won't be black anymore.
Well, no. What happens is they believe in reincarnation. They believe that your soul is an incorporeal entity, and then you choose your family, and then you come back down to Earth. So the idea is that you're reincarnated a shade lighter if you're good, and if you're bad, you're reincarnated a shade darker. So black people are just the biggest sinners.
Yeah.
On planet Earth, apparently. That is no longer Mormon doctrine anymore because the Ministry of Information decided. That's the thing about the Mormon Church. They have a prophet every single generation. And so the prophet, very convenient, whenever something's unpopular, the prophet just magically has a conversation with Jesus.
Can we change this part?
Says, hey, wait a minute, we own Pepsi Cola now. Let's, now you can have caffeine. It's fine. Which, by the way, the Mormon Church is a majority shareholder in Pepsi Cola, which owns Mountain Dew.
That's why it's cool now, huh?
Mountain Dew, Taco Bell, Pizza Hut.
According to the Pearl of Great Price, they can't drink any carbonated drinks.
Yeah, it's,
unless I just don't have the recent version of the Pearl of Great Price.
Yeah. No, well, apparently that's no longer canon, you see.
Oh, really? The POGP is no longer one of their holy books, huh?
Oh, it's still very much a recommended text, but they have revised many of the beliefs.
Wow.
Good stuff.
Shit, I one of my ex-girlfriends was Mormon, so I was well appraised of their beliefs.
Oh, yeah, they'll change their stance on homosexuality. I'm not sure. Are they still anti-homosexuality? I don't know.
I know they're still anti-masturbation.
Well,
they haven't changed that part on their on their.
Same with Christianity, though.
Well, yeah, that's true. Every sperm is safe.
Thoughts on Utah banning porn? Boy, I'm sure that'll be a massive hit to the burgeoning Utah porn industry. Although there is actually
that's got to be the most benign porn out there.
Well, actually, I heard about that. Isn't there actually a Mormon porn industry? There's like a subgenre.
What they show ankles?
I saw like a news report about this.
Look how sexy that is.
Yeah, apparently it's a thing.
Code Red, the true holy one. Oh, God.
Favorite liberal president?
Oh, favorite liberal president.
Shit.
Hang on, I'll get there. I'll get there. Hang on, I just gotta think. Well, okay, let's. I guess we have to like go backwards.
Go through.
Let's see. Okay, so Obama. Before Obama, we had Clinton.
How would you think Jefferson was more of a liberal?
Oh wow, we have to go that far.
No,
back
I'm thinking because Jefferson had his.
He had liberal ideas, I suppose.
Yeah, there was a liberal streak to Thomas Jefferson.
Yeah. Jesus Christ, we got to go that far back, huh?
Truman, maybe.
Grover Cleveland, perhaps.
Grover Cleveland, going with the deep cuts now.
He was liberal for his time.
No.
Okay, Benjamin Harrison.
Yeah.
No. What'd you say before that? Truman? Yeah, well, Truman still bombed the Japs to beyond recognition.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Here's the thing. There's been a lot fewer, in terms, if you were just to put them side by side, the numbers, there have just been a lot more Republican.
Yeah, technically Teddy Roosevelt was the liberal one.
He was pretty liberal,
when you compare him.
No, you're not telling lies. He was a populist.
Yeah.
So he would come down on both sides.
So yeah, we'll just say Teddy Roosevelt and be done with it, since we both seem to like.
You know what? He was liberal enough. I don't disagree with that.
Polk is the one the Mexicans hate, or should, if they knew any fucking history.
Yep.
Polk is the reason we have fucking California, Texas, Arizona, New Mexico, and all that shit. I like how we literally
articulate my hatred of LBJ. Well, let's see. He's the first president in history to say that his opponent would bomb the entire planet if he won, and his president was Barry Goldwater, the most non-interventionist libertarian possibly to ever run for the presidency. He was actually almost sued for for character assassination over that, I believe. There's Barry Goldwater.
There's some people who say LBJ had Kennedy killed.
Well, yeah, that's a very popular conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
I don't know about that, but he certainly fucked over Barry Goldwater. Should have been the guy.
For me, it's more likely that the J. Edgar Hoover had him killed than LBJ, but that's just me.
Why did he break into his panty collection?
Well, among other things. No, but because he wanted to fuck with the FBI.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm not sure. I haven't really... That's one thing I've never really studied, because I'm not really into the conspiracy theories on Kennedy. You know, they're back into the left, back into the left. Apparently he was wearing a fucking harness. That's why he was back into the left, because he got shot from a different direction, but because he was wearing a fucking bodice, because of his back problems, he snapped forward and back. That's his...
Still the magic bullet. I mean, they really should have recovered more bullets at the scene.
Yeah, I don't know.
I find it hard to believe that one bullet did all that damage, and I hate that that's the official fucking story still. The magic bullet theory. That's the only reason that... And you know, I'm not into conspiracy theories, so to speak, but the magic bullet does kind of leave a lot of questions, like, okay, what, you know, why can't we just say this was a turkey shoot, as opposed to, oh yeah, this one bullet just went back and forth and hit everything in its path.
Well, it wasn't a magic bullet. He just got hit from behind, but he moved. He moved in a different way.
Right, but one bullet.
Here's the thing: I'm not a credible enough person to argue about this, because again, like I said, I have not studied this that much. So,
but yeah, apparently the bullet went through the first bullet, because you know there's 3 bullets in the whole theory. But the magic bullet, the one that they account for more than one bullet wound, is one that goes through his shoulder, out his shoulder, through...
Yeah, someone here is saying there was no magic bullet, he was seated in a different angle or something.
Yeah, but that same bullet allegedly also managed to hit Governor Connolly in both the hand and his knee after going through Kennedy. Yeah. And I'm like, any ballistics expert...
And then it melted the steel beams.
Well, that's a story for another day, kids.
Through time.
It went to, bullets, and it did 9/11.
Really? Bullets bounce? Not that much, motherfucker. Bullets don't bounce that much.
Yeah, I have no
idea.
idea.
You even fucking first-person shooters won't have bullets that jump through that many fucking wounds.
Yeah.
But that's the only thing that's inconsistent in the...
Is Goldwater considered God in Arizona? He used to be, not so much.
Well, it is the name of our airport, you know?
It's the name of a high school. It's the name of a... We've named a lot of things after Goldwater.
Yeah, but...
He was a very good senator.
We named our airport after him. That's a big one.
Yeah. John McCain's not wrong. This is like the one good quote to ever come from John McCain.
Oh, God, I hope...
He said, Arizona is the only state in the union where parents do not tell their children they can one day be president.
What?
Because everyone who's ever run for president in Arizona has fucking lost. Every single person.
Okay, well, at least he was right on that. Hey, and you did too, McCain.
No shit.
Any ideas for the next rant video?
I'm in the process of probably today I'll be recording my I'll be recording my rant on the Deus Ex situation, with it being shelved in favor of shitty fucking cash-in Marvel games.
Goldwater called McCain a carpetbagger.
He's not fucking wrong. The succession of John McCain from Barry Goldwater is possibly the biggest downgrade since New Coke.
Well, yeah.
Fucking ridiculous.
The fact that he's still... I mean... It was the same problem I had with Arpaio. The motherfucker has been around for 24 years before.
Yeah, we have to talk about Arpaio before we move on, because you were so full of shit on Arpaio.
So let's motherfucker.
Let's first hit on this. So the immigration law, like the SB 1070, which is the whole thing that he got in trouble over, which he didn't even push for. Right. So SB 1070 was the law from, was it 2010?
Yeah.
2010, but it actually goes back a ways, because the original version of SB 1070 was called the PAN 2004 Initiative. It was from 2004. Russell Pierce put it forward. Yeah. It's called PAN 2004 because it stands for Protect Arizona Now Initiative.
Yeah. All I know is...
And the idea of that initiative was... no government benefits for illegal aliens. They can't enlist in welfare. They can't be educated publicly. Yeah. They can't get library cards. You know, just cutting them off from government services.
Yep.
And
then later
immediately the Ninth District Court of Appeals, which for some reason has jurisdiction in Arizona, I have no fucking reason. I have no fucking idea why the most liberal court in the Union has jurisdiction in the most conservative state in the Union. But for some reason, as Michael Savage says, the Ninth Jerkit Court of Schlemiels decided to override the PAN 2004 initiative, which passed overwhelmingly. And so Russell Pierce then turned around, and after he lost his job as senator thanks to out-of-state California money, but that's another fucking story, pushed for SB 1070. And SB 1070, again, passed by an overwhelming margin, and that one went even further.
Which later on became Prop 203, which left me without a job. Thank you, Arizona voters.
I don't know where, but anyways, the SB 1070 was the law that said, not only is everything from PAN 2004 in place,
yeah,
but we can ask if police pull someone over, they can ask for if they're a citizen.
Yeah.
And
but
ask
they
for
would
proof
only
of
do
citizenship.
that if they were too brown or couldn't talk proper English. I mean.
Which was never, by the way, was never proven. There was not one proven instance in the entire fucking 7 years of investigating Sheriff Joe Arpaio.
Okay, but his
7 years and hundreds of millions. That's another thing that pisses me off. People were so pissed, and the entire reason Joe Arpaio lost re-election was because they said, "Oh, he's wasting money defending himself." Yeah, what's he defending himself from? Hundreds of millions of dollars of Department of Justice wasted money. Eric fucking Holder and Barack Obama, and let's be honest, Janet fucking Napolitano, who was Director of Homeland Security, the minute she got into the Obama administration, immediately enacted a personal vendetta against Joe Arpaio, and suddenly, the minute she gets in office, the Department of Justice is investigating
Arpaio was already corrupt as fuck. I mean, the guy is a criminal, too.
Oh yeah, according to the fucking jagoffs of the New Times and the fucking skinny jeans with the purple fucking streaks in their hair.
Then I guess I'm in that crowd, RazörFist, because I find it very suspicious that his fucking deputy just suddenly died, and what they found in his home was that 900 hours of traffic stops, all of brown people speaking Spanish and shit like that, and all the IDs.
And none of that was entered into evidence in the court case, and he was not.
Yeah, but you know why it wasn't brought into court case? Because this was just this deputy's personal collection, and this guy just happened to die, by mysterious circumstances, like his own deputy.
Does this monologue come with the X-Files theme music playing in the background?
Man.
David Duchovny?
Put two and two together.
I agree.
He hands off all this fucking evidence to his deputy, has him killed, and that's none of my business.
I agree.
You don't find any of that a little bit fishy?
I agree that that's
all in the numbers.
I agree that that's a little fishy.
It's a little bit fishy,
but that's still an Alex.
I mean, yeah, I'm not going to go all New Times on you, but that is a little bit fucking fishy. That this guy happens to be going to court, and his deputy just hung himself. And his family and friends are noted as saying, "We never thought he was he was a
but find a suicide where someone's like, well, fuck, shit."
Yeah, but
I mean, Kurt Cobain wrote about blowing his fucking brains out, and people are still like, "Shit, that guy was killed." Jesus Christ! I mean, you mean that heroin addicted guy who had just escaped from the rehab?
Yeah,
why would he kill himself?
Yeah, but why would a freaking deputy making the money he did and being as successful as he did and living in that nice home that he did want to not blow his brains out, but hang himself? Now, and I like how the news, how CBS News put it, an apparent hanging. An apparent hanging? That's the best you can do? This guy whose fucking basement is full of Mexican IDs and all this fucking traffic stop evidence and shit, and they're treating it as if it's this guy's personal collection. I don't buy that for a fucking minute.
So you're saying it wasn't a Hillary Clinton style suicide?
Hillary Clinton style suicide.
He didn't accidentally shoot himself in the back of the head 3 times.
Right?
He wasn't working out, and he was suddenly stabbed through the heart.
Right? Yeah.
Stabbed himself in the heart with a butter knife. That's all.
He didn't kill his wife and kid, and then a day later beat himself up with a fucking barbell for some odd reason.
Yeah. But I mean, the whole thing about, Tent City's like abusive and shit. I had a friend who was in Tent City.
But
it's fucking ridiculous.
Right, but
Tent City is like, He actually got to take weekends off of Tent City.
The problem with Arpaio is we had 20 years of fucking scandal after scandal after scandal. Yeah, a lot of that was
no, that's fucking horseshit. There was not 20 years of scandal. It was 20 years of the New Times and two fucking... No, it was 20 years of the New Times making bullshit up.
Okay,
20 fucking
he settled out of court for $3.5 million for those rape cases. Because why? Because he did such a good job on those rape cases that he...
rape cases being so incredible? Being so credible? How did that work out in the Maine presidential election?
Well, yeah.
How many accusers was Trump up to by the end? Did you buy any of that bullshit?
Hey, it's not like I'm saying Arpaio raped them. I'm saying Arpaio didn't do a good job as sheriff with those cases, or else he wouldn't have had to settle out of court for $3.5 million. You know?
I don't buy that because look, hundreds of millions of dollars and 7 years spent investigating Arpaio, and the most they could get him on is contempt of court for continuing to enforce a law that we already passed. That's if honestly, if he was even remotely, almost, sorta, kinda in the general vicinity of being corrupt,
that's why
they would have thrown the book at him.
That's why I wanted to take that 900 hours of. I mean, why would the deputy have 900 hours of traffic stops of brown people in his basement just sitting around? The guy's what, a fetishist or something? I found that to be really weird.
Orgy of
the guy's like, he just jacked off to fucking traffic stop.
First off, anyone
that's a boring fucking.
Well, look at it statistically. First off, if you're stopping cars in Phoenix, by virtue of how many Mexicans there are in this state to begin with,
they're all gonna be
you're
brown,
already going to have a lot of brown people. I'm just saying, like, statistically, there's going to be a lot of brown people in there. Because there's a lot of brown people in the state, period. That's just a statistical fact.
I don't know how partisan you would find CBS to be. At least it wasn't a New Times article I linked. Yeah. It was a CBS article. I'm not going to put New Times in there because I already know the New Times had a bonus.
You have to at least concede that the most badass thing in the history of Arizona was, did you ever see that episode of Politically Incorrect?
Politically Incorrect.
Where Bill Maher's show back in the 90s and the early 2000s.
Okay.
That he lost for saying something controversial. The show is called Politically Incorrect, people. But anyways, so normally what they did, you ever see that show?
I saw it once.
Yeah, so he would have a panel,
Did he do one
two
with
liberals.
Arpaio in it?
Yeah, well, he had Arpaio on several times, but,
okay,
but this was the
The ones I remember are the ones he did with Ann Coulter, and I thought those were hilarious.
I think this was the penultimate edition, like it was the penultimate appearance.
So it's like, let's just go all out and put
the second to last time he was on there, and the panel was normally it was two liberals, two conservatives arguing, and then it was Bill Maher in between.
Yeah. And he would always be on favor of the liberals
of
anyway,
course.
So it's like...
Of course, because
it's basically three liberals and two conservatives.
So here's what it is, and Joe Arpaio agreed to this fucking badass. This episode of Politically Incorrect was filmed live from Tent City with an audience entirely comprised of Tent City inmates. The entire panel were anti-Arpaio.
Okay, I gotta see that.
With Bill Maher. And Arpaio fucking destroyed him. Okay. He was all by himself, and he's like, "Fuck you, I'm Joe Arpaio. I'm gonna drag my dick across your fucking face."
And that's exactly what he did. Still, I don't know. I think he should be rotting in a prison right next to Hillary herself.
Yeah, and I've looked for this episode like online for so many years.
I would love for them to be cellmates. Wouldn't that be interesting, though?
Yeah. But I mean, the investigation into Arpaio, I've always just seen as being pretty obviously just Napolitano.
Well, the problem is the people. See, that's the problem is the people who brought it to light. You know, but I don't believe there wasn't any single instance of moral turpitude on his part. The guy took justice into his hands one too many times too. That's part of that whole badass thing, I guess, that you praised.
I don't see. I would need a specific example because they never found a single proven instance that he ever profiled anyone. More than that, like. Okay, first off, I don't disagree with racial profiling, period. Well, because stopping every
Hey, sir, are you a commie?
Stopping every 80-year-old white grandma at the airport only makes sense if you're at war with every other 80-year-old grandma at the airport.
I am wearing a red shirt.
Yeah, Asa, I want to tell everyone he is wearing a red shirt right now.
And it does have, I do have the communist logo right there. If you don't see, that's the hammer and sickle right there. It's just, you know, it's the superhero version of the hammer and sickle, you know.
Yeah.
I think the Flash is the most communist freaking.
All right, folks. But I think we pretty much talked this out. I want to thank everyone for showing up.
Yeah.
And kicking ass with us and saving Mr. Presidente.
And I'm and I'm fat and gay and fat.
And yeah.
Crazy Ernie, have you ever had encounters with deathly desert animals like rattlesnakes, scorpions, Gila monsters? I've seen.
Oh, let me tell you guys a story for a moment.
Yeah.
So one time, I accidentally there was a hole in my window. I had to get one of the windows replaced, right, in my room. And this was in the middle of winter, so it was kind of cold. So I just glued until I could get it replaced. I taped like a lid, like a Tupperware lid over the hole, okay. And it was anything but airtight.
Oh man!
So I'm laying on my bed, which was at that time I was just like had a mattress on the ground. Right. This was before I bought a bed, and I'm laying there, and one morning, you know, I can feel the cold air coming in through the window.
Oh shit!
And I can feel a tickle on my neck.
Ooh, rattlesnake.
And for some reason, I normally sit up in bed like doing a sit-up. For some reason, instead of that, I turn over onto my stomach and kind of do like a push-up move to get out of bed. And off of my neck onto my pillow falls a bark scorpion.
Jeez.
It was on my fucking neck. And I'm here to tell you I have never shrieked at a higher pitch in my fucking life.
Like the lead singer of King Diamond.
I was King Diamond. Grandma! It was full blown, folks.
Last summer.
I shit my pants. I jumped up. I grabbed my sandals were sitting there. I fucking whap whap whap. It was like Alex Jones talking about them putting chemicals in the water to turn the frogs gay. Sick of this bullshit. You know, it was like that. Just going.
It the fuck in.
I went full ham on that thing.
Yeah, we found.
And then I was so freaked out. I put it. There was still. There was still
somewhere.
I did. I put the corpse outside as a warning to other scorpions.
Got toothpicks.
Come in here,
Put it on a crucifix.
It's like fuck that shit.
Rad scorpions. Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I just last year we had one during the summer that just ran from under our fridge, and we're like, oh shit, we called the exterminators very...
And bark scorpions, you can look them up. I think they're the most poisonous kind of scorpion as well.
I don't even know what kind of scorpion they are, but if it has that little tail like that, that's it. It's dying.
Yeah. Strangely enough, the giant, like, emperor scorpions, the big black ones,
yeah, they're less venomous than the little tiny ones.
They're a lot less venomous. They're apparently not quite as dangerous. But anyways, right. Thanks for joining us, folks, on RazörFist Arcade. TERRAN GEL sucks at this game, and
Razor's gonna show you how it's done.
God fucking speed, folks.
Till next time, dear viewer.